Good morning, everyone. Hope you're having a really great. Oh my gosh, is it Saturday already? It is such a Saturday. So many Saturdays. And it is time for your daily dose of Katie and Without a Crystal Ball. Let's get started. I have some news today out of my goodness, North Carolina, related to sort of what's been going on in the Jenelle and David Eason world. Now, if you've been living under a rock, you will know that Jenelle and David spent the better part of a week, maybe 2-3 days, in this sort of fight with Olivia Leadham, David Eason's ex-girlfriend and mother of his 5-year-old son, Caden. In the fight, it kind of all blew up because Olivia, she set up a GoFundMe because she is still battling the Easons for over the custody of their son, Caden. Now, there was a lot of speculation about what was going on with this case, where did it stand in the court, when was the next hearing going to be, and some of the outlets, like Radar Online, were able to come up and get some documents from North Carolina, which somehow had not been, missed. In the chaos that ensued after Nugget Gate, we didn't really talk about what was going on with Caden because there was such a whirlwind about the other children that had been removed by CPS in May. Quietly, at the same time that this was going on, David was in court dealing with the custody of his 5-year-old son, Caden. And it was during this time that Jenelle and David testified to the court about their concerns. Olivia testified about her concerns, and the judge was working to determine what would happen with his custody. Now, Radar Online was able to get a copy of the order from the judge, which is pretty telling if you want to talk about what the actual facts of this case are according to legal documents. Now, on Facebook and Instagram, the Easons want us to believe that they are the victims of a vindictive woman, aka Olivia, who has kept her son, Caden, from David. Jenelle has been claiming all kinds of things like parental alienation and calling her an SLUT and telling people she gets too crazy with the sauce and likes to hit up the Adderall and all kinds of like wild allegations, almost as if she's forgetting that she has her own issues with. I mean, do we all really need to forget the time she nodded off with Kiefer on the TV? Or how about her arrests? Or, the fact that she had this call in October related to an incident with her husband? Well, it was that incident in October of 2018 that prompted a shift, like a swift change in the custody related to Caden. Now, on Instagram, coming out ahead of the story, because Radar Online sort of started dripping some of the details of what was in the court documents. So Jenelle started posting things on her Instagram, basically from an old custody case. You can't even really see what it says. You can't really see like the date of it. It just says that parents recognize the importance of allowing Caden to freely love both parents, and each parent will encourage him to respect the other parent. Further, parents agreed to follow the District 5 parenting guidelines. The parents will have joint legal custody of Caden. All major decisions concerning Caden's education and non-emergency medical and dental treatment will not be considered routine, will be mutually discussed and agreed upon by the parents. So she then, after that, she posted a parent who is prepared to put their own wants and needs to destroy their ex ahead of their wishes and the feelings of the child is an abuser. And then she was looking for an attorney. Now, it's funny that she would say that because she said putting their wants and needs in front of a child is an abuser, but that's exactly what they were doing to Olivia in the media or online this week, calling her all kinds of names, posting photos, making a lot of really heavy allegations against her without any sort of receipts or documents or proof. And they seem to like dish out and serve their own issues and apply it to Olivia. And for Olivia's part, she actually stayed very, very quiet, and rightfully so. She said that she wanted to let them sort of be dramatic and deal with this on their own. She wanted this to all sort of blow up in their face. And she said that just let them talk. I was expecting all of this because she just wants more money to be able to fight to make sure that Caden stays safe. So why she might be doing this is because an order came down in June. Now, this happened in the middle of everything else that was going on with David and Jenelle, and the order is pretty telling. So to give you sort of a backstory, it says that the cause coming to be heard and being heard from the undersigned family court judge presiding on March 11th, April 23rd, and May 3rd in New Hanover County, North Carolina. This matter before the court of Plaintiff's motion to modify child custody, plaintiff's motion to show cause and order to show cause, and the plaintiff being present and presented by the attorney, and the defendants being present and presented by, and then his attorney, and then the court having reviewed the file in this matter, having heard the evidence and having heard the arguments of counsel for the plaintiff and defendant, now makes the following choices. And so basically what they say is that they're both obviously residents of North Carolina. They were never married. They had a child. The child born out of the relationship was born in November of 2013. And then it says that on September 12th, 2014, an order of permanent child custody was entered by the court for Olivia, and she had sole legal and physical custody of Caden, and he was denied contact with the child. The court determined that he had committed acts of DV against the plaintiff and during the course of their relationship, and that he had caused some issues with endangerment when she was pregnant because he pushed her and then he left her on the side of the road in 2017, or I'm sorry, when she was 7 months pregnant. So basically they looked at the facts presented by Olivia and they agreed with her, and so they placed Caden permanently with her in 2014. However, in 2017 a modification came because they attended a mediation in January of 2017, and then they reached an agreement at the mediation that would allow David to have some contact with his child and be able to sort of increase those visits over time. So they started the order. The order was entered in February, and they signed a parenting agreement. Then they decided, so basically what's happens after February of 2017, Caden starts and spends time with his dad, and it stayed this way where he would go every other weekend to David's beginning in January of 2018. And then in July 2018, Olivia said that Caden started exhibiting sort of concerning signs at home that seemed as though he was stressed and he didn't want to go to see his dad anymore, and he would sort of cry before he had to leave, and he wouldn't really tell them what happened. He just said he didn't want to go see his dad. So she told the court then that she had never seen him act like this, so she was like kind of concerned naturally. And then she said that his behavior kind of escalated and continued to get worse throughout the summer of 2018. And then by November 2nd, there was an issue where the court actually they suspended David's access to Caden. And so what happened here was that, if you recall, he had been in an altercation in October of 2018 with Jenelle. And during the altercation, when she called the authorities, in her phone call to the authorities, she said that she had 4 children at home. One of the children at home with her at the time was Caden. And so she said that she and David had gotten into an argument, that he pinned her down, and that her collarbone, it hurt. And she was very upset. So that was the actual record to the police in October of 2018. Now, fast forward, she changed her story nearly days after this happened, after the media caught wind of what happened, right? So in court this summer, Jenelle actually testified that And they have the full like transcripts of the call in here, and it's pretty damning, you guys. She said that she heard her collarbone crack, and that he had been drinking, and they had both been drinking, but she said in court, she testified that what she said on 911 on that call was not correct. Yeah. She said that she slipped in a hole in the ground and had been drinking and was blacked out. And that Caden had been asleep, but they were just outside next to a bonfire. She said that she slipped after falling in a hole, and then she and the defendant had come crashing to the ground, and she was confused. She said that she was blacked out, and she doesn't even remember calling authorities. So once she finished testifying, the order of the court was that she was not credible. They didn't believe her. They said that her call to the authorities was probably the accurate and credible amount of what happened that night, and that he had actually gotten DV with Jenelle. So basically the court said, yeah, you did that to your wife. So if you remember earlier this week, they were saying that the court never said that he did any of these things. They didn't believe anything she said. Well, it literally says in black and white that that's what he did to her. So they also referenced the stuff from December of 2018. If you recall, when David had that photo on Instagram and he was talking about the Secret Service visit, and he was making some accusations and some very bold statements about the President of the United States. And they said based on his behavior online, the mother had a credible concern for the safety of her son. So they basically at that time suspended all of their visitation with Caden, and he was allowed to have 2 hours a week on Skype with him. But over the course of that time, he actually didn't make those calls on Skype. He didn't talk to them. He didn't take the steps he needed to take to show that he had interest. He also fell back on child support, and he stopped making payments, which prompted another order in May where he was back more than $8,000. And he says he paid for that, but it was actually Jenelle that paid for the child support. So it says he has not taken full advantage or even the limited amount of time that has been allowed to him to Skype, FaceTime, or otherwise. And they said that he is currently, according to the court order, Caden is actually doing amazing now. He is thriving. He's happy. He's healthy. They found that Olivia and her living environment is really good for him, and that all of those behaviors that he had been concerned about before or had exhibited before completely went away after he stopped visiting with David. So based on Caden's reaction and the concerns from what happened with Jenelle and David, and then what David posted on Instagram, in June, basically what the court said was that the plaintiff is fit and proper person to have sole custody, and that since the entry of February 6, 2017, custody has been there's been a substantial change in circumstances. Due to those changes, it is the best interest of Caden that the parties follow a schedule in the decreased portion of this order. Based upon the foregoing findings, the facts and conclusions of law is ordered that the plaintiff shall have sole legal and physical custody of the parties' minor child. The defendant shall visit with the minor child via Skype on Tuesdays and Sundays, and the matter shall come before review in 8 months. And that was signed on June 29th, 2019. So, despite what they are saying on Instagram and on Facebook, it sounds like this was really not what they were this is not really what Olivia was saying. It wasn't a he said, she said. This was all evidence came before a court. A judge reviewed all the evidence. They looked at things. They looked at a lot of different issues that were going on with the child, and they basically said, you know what, he's better off with his mom, and they gave her sole custody. That's a big deal. So it's not like Olivia's doing this on purpose. And she doesn't have the same kind of clout or fame that Jenelle and David have, so it's not like she can buy her way through this. In fact, she has spent more than $50,000 to do this, and she's kind of hit a wall, she said, which is why she started the GoFundMe. So as far as what's been going on with them, I'd say at this point, so if that happened in June, that means they'll be 6 months from now back in North Carolina to discuss and sort of work through the next steps. And obviously, anything that they have said online about her, I really hope Olivia obviously got the screenshots, because that kind of stuff is a continued sort of issue in terms of whether or not he's fit to be with the Easons. So in this case, at least once, children related to these two have been removed, are no longer have access to them, along with obviously Barbara having custody of Jace. So 2 of the 3 kids are not involved with them, or Jace, can see them, but not permanent. So that's where we're at for Jenelle. If you guys see anything or have anything else, or you find anything going on, make sure you send me a message on Instagram. If you haven't followed me on Instagram, please make sure that you do. It's at Without a Crystal Ball. That has been by far the easiest way to stay connected to you and to get messages. I don't spend as much time on Facebook anymore because it's just kind of clunky. And to be honest, I have not, since I've been off Facebook, you guys, I'm a way happier person. Even though Instagram is owned by Facebook, there's something different about just looking at photos versus reading people's drama all the time, right? Are you there with me? And then also you can check me out on Twitter if you are a Twitter person, and that is at WOA Crystal Ball. And then also every once in a while I do update the community tab if I have stuff going on. So make sure you check out my community tab. Before you go today, please give me a thumbs up, ring the bell if you haven't yet, and just leave me a comment and let me know what your thoughts are on all of this. As always, I appreciate all of you being here every single day and listening and following this journey with me. This has been an incredible month, and I'm so grateful to have all of you here with me every single day. I'll be back in a little bit, and we're going to talk about a new video by Sophia Abraham related to her schooling. All right, you guys, bye.